are live, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to NASA Bunker 33. I didn't fuck that up this time. Can you believe it? Tonight, we've got a great show for you guys. We're talking about trans rights, and we have some amazing guests with us. So we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to introduce my normal cohorts, and then we'll talk to the guests. So, Chrismer, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fine tonight. Nothing at all wrong. I'm not being held captive by some wild mistress that's threatening my life. Yeah, doing just fine.
Tell you.
Doing just fine.
Read the script.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Cool.
read the script.
Glad to know you're not in trouble. Glad to know that you're not being held captive. And speaking of mistresses, for no reason, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing quite well, sweetie. I actually see that my second husband is in chat. Hi, I'm very excited for tonight's stream, and I'm really happy to see that there are so many lovely people here with us right now.
Yeah, definitely. So we have three guests with us tonight. All three are, well, let's put it this way. I'm the only person that's not trans in this call. So once this gets started, I'm going to shut the fuck up and let these people talk. But our first guest tonight, I'm just going to go down the list as it appears on my screen. The amazing Slim Living Cyborg. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. So we're talking about Transformers?
Yes, they are more than meets the eye.
Wait, we're not talking
Awesome.
about transmissions?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
And
blew a
then-
tranny last week. Oh,
Ooh.
Ooh,
Oh, wait.
sounds like fun.
Wait, I
Yeah,
don't remember visiting
I
your
was
house
there.
last week. It was the week before.
So transgender, yes. So this will be a fun subject tonight. I'm glad to be on the panel, and we're going to have fun.
Definitely. And next, we have Heidi's Corner. How are you doing tonight?
Doing excellent. Thank you very much. It's very early morning for me. It's 4:30, so I'm not really an early bird. So
Wow.
Who knows what kind of amazing, fabulous bullshit I'll come up with this morning. But hey, I maybe a little bit about me. I run a YouTube channel, Heidi's Corner. Go check it out. I've been streaming about the subject at hand in this live stream. Actually, 4 live streams, with one of which I had the privilege of having Vishanti.
That's awesome.
me.
I wish we could have Vishanti here,
Yeah, that'd be
but she
nice.
never shows up for our streams. Vishanti, hint, hint.
Yeah.
And I've
To be fair, Fish has
with
been
regards-
very busy.
with regards to the anti-trans legislation, I've covered stuff from Virginia, Arkansas, North Carolina, and Alabama. And the one from Alabama was with Vishanti. It's all about these anti-trans bills going through or almost going through.
Yeah, I live in North Carolina, and we've definitely had some very anti-trans bills go through here. Anti-LGBT, let me not be dyslexic for once, and other bills. And you know, I try to vote as best I can for candidates that support LGBTQ plus trans rights, but this is North Carolina. We are still part of the South, and it seems like my vote never counts because we just get crazy backwater religious folk in our state legislature.
Yeah.
And finally, last but very much not least, the amazing Microraptor. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm tired because it's 3:30 in the morning here. So, yeah. But yeah, I went up early because I wanted to be here.
Awesome. Well, both of you, thank you so much for joining, even though it is very, very early for you. And Slim, I know it's not nearly as early for you. Thank you for joining as well, though. And we're just going to jump right into it. We've got a few videos tonight. So, Chrismer, which one are we going for first?
Well, I decided I would bring back the Wheel of Pain.
No.
Oh, quitties, don't go saying, oh. Look,
Well-
we had 12 different videos and we couldn't decide which one that we wanted to pick, so we brought back the Wheel of Pain.
All right. Well, Wheel of Pain, turn, show us the stupid that we will hate.
Burn. Right, under attack. That should be... No. Trans rights under attack. Okay, that's won by the ACLU, so... Yay.
Every day, trans and non-binary people are struggling to survive, and the Trump administration has taken yet another step to attack us.
By the way, this was before the orange Cheeto stain was voted out of office, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, I kind of figured that out when he said President Trump.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
All trans and non-binary people know how difficult it is already to access healthcare without facing discrimination and humiliation.
I got into a bike accident a few years ago. It's always like a lot of these like really small, like tiny humiliating things.
And she was like, "Oh, have you had a sex change?" and started asking me all of these questions. Which, you know, I was there to get my finger x-rayed.
I think I was also mostly desensitized to it because, you know, I knew that something like that was probably going to happen.
I was once examined topless and having a procedure where I needed to have a needle inserted directly into my nipple repeatedly with the door open because the person didn't want to be alone with me.
This constant having to explain yourself and getting this like subtle like look of disgust.
I was also told that when I couldn't not show that I was experiencing pain, that if I really wanted to be a man, that I would be tougher about it.
Being non-binary and not easily fittable.
Okay, pause for a second.
And choosing to identify out.
I just want to point something out. I've never heard anyone say that you should be tougher if you want to be a man. That is one of the biggest bullshit things I've ever heard.
No,
I have heard that.
It's actually a very common thing that will happen.
Yeah.
And as far as that goes, the only thing I have to say is if you're getting a needle stabbed repeatedly into your nipple, I don't care if you're male or female or whatever. That
shit's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt anyway. And I've heard this argument that you have to be tough to be male. It's so wrong on so many levels. It doesn't. And if you're tough woman, you're cis female and you're tough. Does that make you a man? No, it does not. No.
And also, like, a lot of the time it's not literally you have to be tough, but you know, it's certain things that being told to you that just gives that impression. It's not just that people literally say it, it's also their actions and reactions to your actions.
Well, it's also one of the other things that
Yeah.
confuses me because they'll sit there and tell you that you need to toughen up and be more of a man. Yet, my pet, she actually had both of our boys without any epidural or painkillers or anything. She didn't even have a Tylenol.
Yeah.
So, I don't understand how you have to be masculine to be tough, like Micro's saying. It doesn't make sense, and then those two don't correlate.
No, I know some ladies that are tougher than any man I've ever met. So,
Damn right.
Seriously, give childbirth without any painkillers, and yeah.
Yeah, one of my exes. Go ahead.
Everyone are tough in some situations and not tough in others. It's okay to be weak sometimes.
And feeling vulnerable or feeling embarrassed is different than pain. And I know that's a little bit different than what that person was speaking about, but it could have been that as well. Feeling embarrassed doesn't mean that you're not tough. That's an embarrassing situation to just have a doctor look at you in a normal situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're expected to go through some horrible or not horrible, but at least painful procedure, or work a certain job, do you have to do women who do work that job or go through these procedures? Do they have to grow a dick and a pair to be able to go through these things? No, and why the fuck not? And that doesn't make you any less of a man, or
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Being weak doesn't make you any less of a man, and being able to handle pain and handle difficult situation doesn't mean that you're any less of a woman.
Yep.
It just means that you're able to do those things.
Some people can handle pain more than others. I have a cousin named Michael that does not feel pain. And he has broken about half the bones in his body and didn't even realize it a lot of the time. He fell off. He built a trick bicycle to break a Guinness World Record. The bicycle was 40 feet tall.
Wow.
And he had a huge crowd there, had the Guinness World Record people there to watch him and everything. And before he got on it, he was riling up the crowd and showboating and everything with one of his smaller bicycles. And he hit something and fell down and broke his arm and had no idea that it was a compound fracture. Like, he gets up, he's dusting himself off, and there's a bone sticking out of his arm. So he never rode the bicycle and never broke the Guinness World Record. But then I know people who, can get a paper cut and they're down for a day.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with gender at all. It's just some people are more sensitive to pain.
I can stub my toe and be out for a day. What you talking about?
Yeah, the paper
me
cut
too.
thing is definitely me.
Yeah, but then, I'll stub my toe and call in sick to work, but then I break my spine and go 7 years without realizing it. So,
yeah, I'm still
pain.
mad at you for that one.
Yeah, well, I'm disabled now because of that, but that's a whole different story. We're not here to talk about that. So, there was one other thing I wanted. When I was in college, a friend of mine, this girl, her and I lived together, non-sexual relationship. She was just a roommate kind of thing. And she got her nipple pierced while we were living together. And she comes back to the apartment one day. She's like, "Hey, I got my nipple pierced. Check it out." And she pulls her shirt up and shows me. And her boob was like 3 times the size it was normally. And it looked so scary. Like, I just when I heard the person say sticking needles in their nipple, I just had flashbacks of that. Like, that was one of the grossest, scariest things I ever saw. And there's no way I could ever pierce my nipples just from that.
No, I'm not.
I mean, my nipples are very sensitive for a man.
Yeah.
I know female nipples normally are more sensitive than men, but yeah, mine tend to be very sensitive, and I could not take that. But she told me it didn't hurt at all for her.
Now, would you say that I have a few piercings?
Quite a few, yes.
Okay.
Are you sure you don't need a boob change operation? You've been born with wrong boobs, and you need a boob change operation.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you about that on Monday.
Well, I've got some glorious man boobs. Like they are just amazing, really.
Are you sure we really want to a detailed description of your fantastic man boobs?
Yeah, no, we'll wait until after the show's over, and then I'll go on camera and show you guys these bitchin' man titties. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Hey, you better be careful who you promise that to on face, because
Yeah, I better be.
Things. No, hit play already.
Outside of a gendered binary, it's often difficult for some people to understand or grasp that's legitimate.
It also can make you feel like this sort of object of curiosity rather than a person who's interacting with someone.
So many doctors have turned me away, asked invasive questions about my body that were completely irrelevant.
It makes you feel like a freak, not a patient.
The idea that I have to go see a doctor to like reaffirm every couple of months, like, yeah, I'm still trans, it's still happening, in order to get a refill is something that makes me uncomfortable, but I know I have to do.
It's really toiling and really just stigmatizing and pushes people from getting the healthcare that they need.
It's really a life or death situation for people because you just don't go.
You know, in those stretches of time when I am going without my hormones, I can feel my mental health deteriorating.
I'll say also that like most of what I experienced was, you know, as a white person, as a class privileged person, good hospitals, good insurance, like, and you start stripping any of those things away and it just becomes pretty unimaginable.
I've been really lucky.
Could you stop a little?
Before my 21st birthday,
What was that?
I had a comment on, like, one of the people, that person seemed to be trans-marketed, and I'm assuming that person is, that person who said they have periods where they don't get their hormones, and then I'm assuming that that's a person who takes testosterone, and I just thought of, for me, it's obviously the other way around. It's the testosterone that makes me dysphoric and not the estrogen, and for them, then I assume the estrogen and the testosterone make them feel, but then have person over this, and of course, it's hard to explain to someone that okay, there's this hormone that it's their own fault. Yeah, to someone who doesn't believe that we actually are the gender we say we are.
Yeah, I agree. When people don't understand hormone therapy, it's very horrible, or they don't understand that aspect of it. It can be silly because there's way more into it than what sometimes people think. Even when I was younger, I didn't understand all of the steps. People have a misconception it's just a surgery, or you just go in one day and you walk out the opposite, sex or whatever, and all of a sudden you're look exactly like a man to exactly looking like a woman. No, there's a huge process in between, and that's another thing. And so you got to get tests, you got to go get hormones, or you got to go get whatever to go through the process, and then keep testing to make sure that you're still being healthy and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. It's a transition. It's not a light switch. It's something I've known. I've known a few people that have transitioned, and it takes years
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not, you wake up one day as a man, you're like, hey, I'm going to be a woman. And the next day you wake up and you're a woman. No.
That would be
And that's a
you have no idea
huge,
how happy
That would be
make
awesome.
me. I've
Yeah.
been doing this for 3.5 years. I would love to just be able to wake up and not have
Yeah.
to deal with this BS.
yeah. That's a huge misconception.
That would save millions and millions of trans people from
oh yeah,
their lives to begin with, but then the welfare. It's not, as discussed earlier. It's not just a matter of an overnight process. It, regardless of where you live, it's tough, especially in countries that have such a low accessibility to affordable healthcare, like the US. In many European countries, well, most European countries, especially EU countries, have all have more or less easy access to affordable healthcare, but that doesn't. But that makes it a bit easier, but it's still tough here.
Yeah.
And the transition took me several years, and it's not easy. But this kind of attitudes from healthcare professionals make it quite a lot more difficult.
Yeah. And the last thing I wanted to add to this point, talking about, I live in North Carolina, and several years ago we had the bathroom bill. Everyone knows about the bathroom bill. And I just thought that was one of the most ridiculous things, because if you're a trans person, you're comfortable going in the restroom that matches your gender. I'm trying to say this the best I can, but again, I suck at this, so that's why I want you guys to talk more than me. But people kept saying, "Oh, well, it just means that a man can dress up like a woman and go into a woman's bathroom and spy on people," and that's not something that happens, and that's not what being trans is. Like I said earlier, it's not an overnight thing. People have spent years transitioning, and now, because you look like a man or you look like a woman, you have to use that bathroom. And God, I got pissed off about that. I am so glad that bill did not become law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Try to kill myself because I couldn't find a therapist to talk to about what this is like, and I definitely couldn't get hormones or surgery or talk to my family. So it's like life or death,
Yeah.
The administration is trying to sell a false narrative that our healthcare isn't real or that it's not medically necessary. But that is completely untrue. There is a medical consensus that healthcare related to gender transition is safe, effective, and necessary, and that denying that care is catastrophic for the health of trans and non-binary people.
We're a community that has gone through so much, and
I think out of congregation comes a lot of political change and social change and power.
I would say to trans people that you are so wonderful and so brave and so resilient.
I see you. I affirm you. I'm here for you. You are valid. You're cared for.
So definitely find strength in the people around you.
We are out there fighting with you. We will never let this become the new normal.
Listen to your other trans friends who have, gone through things before.
I've also really struggled, and everyone I know has really struggled.
We just have to do our best to support each other.
Even if this government is not with you,
If we stick together and we join forces, we
continue
we will win
to
this
fight.
fight.
And right there, if you do request or need to, you can call that number. It's a trans lifeline.
Please, anybody who's watching, if you need to talk to somebody, please call that line.
Yeah.
And there's lots of online therapists now that you can find as well. So if you just search Google or whatever kind of therapist you're looking for, you should be able to find one that will do Skyping with you or whatever video sessions.
Please look.
Yeah.
There's somebody out there who is willing to help you. This is not like it used to be 20, 30 years ago. Please.
Yeah, and one great thing about this community that we have, there are quite a few trans people in this community.
Yeah, reach out to us.
Yeah, we have 3 here tonight. I've talked to people, even if they're not trans, there are several people, I think one of them is actually in chat, that have trans children. So one person on our channel has a child that's transitioning.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have gone through this. A lot of people have dealt with it in their personal life and can help guide you through things. All you have to do is reach out.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. I think this is the 3rd stream that I've done on trans rights. We did a couple of streams when I was with Sit Down with Debunkers, and I learned so much in those streams. I still don't profess to know a whole lot because I'm not trans, and I'm not going to try to transplain things. I've been waiting to use that word all night, by the way. I hope you guys like it.
No,
Transplained, yeah. Even though I'm not a native English speaker, it's still one of my absolute favorite words in English language. Even though it's not, you can't find it in Oxford Dictionary, but it's still just the best word in English language, or one of the best. And yeah, anyway,
No, real quick,
with
I just
regards
wanted
to
say-
with regards to the community, having trans community members are out here within amongst YouTubers. I've noticed that it's not that rare, and as mentioned previously, just please scroll back and get the number for the hotline or the helpline.
Yeah.
Because those people there are professionals.
Absolutely.
And they know what the hell they're doing.
Yes, they do.
So
And they're more than happy to
please
talk
reach
to
out.
you. I agree
Okay,
with
I
you.
just
Please
want to
talk
address.
them. And
I want to address something in chat really quick, and then just hold that point for a second, Brazen. So Jinshu says the stall's locked, right? I'm not about to look over the door to check your junk. And actually, there were crazy fundamentalist Christian people here in North Carolina who would take guns to Walmart and stand in front of the bathrooms and watch people going in and out. And if you looked like a woman going into the men's room or a man going into the woman's room, they would pull their gun on you and make you go into the other room. That's how
heard
fucked
that.
up the situation got here in North Carolina.
I heard that in one Walmart, somebody was in the bathroom and they peeked into the stall and they saw that they didn't look like the sex and they pulled them out and took them out and pointing with the guns pointed at them.
Yeah. I don't think they were quote unquote guarding the bathroom, but they saw someone go in what they thought was the wrong bathroom and went in and went in the next stall and stood on the toilet and looked over
and then
told them to get out.
It was a crazy.
That is just absolutely that's
Insane.
sick.
That's
That is
insane.
sick.
Yeah.
Absolutely sick.
I wish
and
it were
disgusting.
wrong and not true, but unfortunately, that is the thing that actually happens quite frequently. Even I do have two things. I was just given something by Mike Grove. Laura Jane Grays, the coolest to against me during the North Carolina bill, even burnt her birth certificate over this whole issue and used her position inside of the band and during the concerts to actually protest against it. So that's the effective way to use it, is using your voice as loud as you can. And, well, if you have a giant microphone, that kind of works the best. And also, Ed in chat did mention earlier that it doesn't matter what gender you are, people will probably try to grab you if they feel like they want to try to kidnap you. She was almost kidnapped by a cis woman. It happens. It's something that isn't gender based. If people want to try to kidnap you, they're going to kidnap you. So this whole trans people are going to try to kidnap you in the bathroom thing really confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah, it was just, trying to stir the pot.
Yeah.
It was rhetoric to try to stir the pot, to try to get people against it, to make it more popular. But one good thing that did come out of our bathroom bill was the blowback, because North Carolina is known as a basketball state. We have Tobacco Road. We have North Carolina, Duke, NC State, and Wake Forest, the Big Four. Three of which have
Are
won.
those teams, or what are they?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Are those basketball teams, or what are they?
Yeah, they're college basketball teams. They're universities, but they're college basketball teams, and that's a big thing here in North Carolina. And when North Carolina tried to pass the bathroom bill, the NCAA, which is the governing body of college sports, said, okay, well, if you're going to do that, we're not going to hold postseason tournaments in North Carolina anymore. And the fact that, especially with North Carolina, University of North Carolina and Duke, they win national championships every few years, one of those two teams, and being close to home is a perk. When you're a really good team, you end up playing close to home during the NCAA tournament. And so basically the NCAA said, well, if you're going to pass this bill, then we're going to fuck over your basketball and make them play away from home in the tournament, make it harder for them to win. And that was a ton of pressure on the state to not pass that bill.
From where it hurts.
Like I said, that's the big thing here in North Carolina. The NCAA tournament every spring, everyone in North Carolina is glued to their TV watching it. So to say that the teams can't play there, they can't hold the Final Four here, things like that, because there's a tournament site pretty much every year in Greensboro or Raleigh or Charlotte. And they took that away, took millions and millions of dollars of revenue from those events.
Yeah, basketball for you guys is like football down here in Florida.
Yeah. Or soccer in everywhere else that's not the U.S.
Sweetie, you mean football?
You mean football?
Yeah,
Football.
well,
Football.
no. I'm American, so
No, I'm
football
going
is
to
something completely
culturalize your ass right now. It's called a football.
different.
You kick it with your
But
foot. Football.
uh, who was it? Well, let's see. Seems like Elon Musk was talking about building a Tesla plant in North Carolina, and Jeff Bezos was going to build this huge distribution center for Amazon. And because of the bathroom bill, they ended up moving the Amazon distribution center from North Carolina to South Carolina. And it's in it's in Columbia, South Carolina, instead of near Charlotte, North Carolina, because of the bathroom bill. Like, so much business got pulled out of the state just for trying to pass that bill. And that's the good thing, is all of these companies and governing bodies and everything basically told the state to go fuck themselves and fucked our state out of millions and millions and millions of dollars and thousands of jobs.
Yeah, we
standing up
have
to the bigotry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we obviously have to. We obviously have to.
In this case, the state government got what they asked for, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course we obviously have to talk about all the bad things, but with that, it's also important to talk about all the work we have already done and all the power we have, and to not feel like it's so pointless and hard, and so that we can't move forward. Because of course we can. We stopped this bathroom bill, and we can do things. There is hope.
Before we spin, I just want to say I've been hit on by more men in the men's bathroom than I have women. So I would say that men shouldn't be in the men's bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Using their logic, right? You know, like.
No, that's perfect
all men
logic.
should have
I
to
like
use the
that
women's
one, too.
bathroom. Hey, most women's bathrooms I've been in have been a lot cleaner than men's bathrooms.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Urinals, let me just say, urinals, dude, your dick is not as long as you think it is. Get closer and quit pissing all over the floor so I have to stand in it.
Yeah.
I know, I hate that.
I mean, Slim is detachable, so he can make it as long as he wants.
Yeah, I can stand as far away.
That's different attachment.
Yes.
All right. You guys ready to spin the wheel and see what's next?
Yeah.
All right, prisoner.
Let's do it. Let's roll.
Where did the mouse go? There it is. Okay.
It's on Nips.
Nips.
Look, if you haven't watched the TMI show, then that's your fault for not understanding what I just said.
Okay.
By the way, quick shield for the TMI show.
Trans identity is something.
I hated hearing that when I was younger.
Oh god. Everything was a
this
fad.
is just a phase
oh yeah,
you're
you're
going through.
you think you like that other guy. No, that's just the fad. Oh, you think that you like wearing dresses. Oh yeah, that's just the fad. Oh yeah, you like wearing black and makeup and everything. That's just the fad. Right.
Yeah.
That's why over, I don't know, 25 years later, I'm still doing the same thing.
That's what they said about me wearing a dress and makeup, was they were like, oh, it's just a fad. He'll only do it for a little while, and year after year. And then my mom and dad finally were like, we don't think it's going to be a fad anymore.
Yeah, exactly. When does it become a normal thing from a fad? I'm still trying to figure that out.
And men wearing dresses have never been a fad.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Anyway, let's go ahead and.
If men wearing dresses is an issue, just go tell that to the Scots, the Scottish people and the Irish.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not telling anybody who can throw a log that far to do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
I've seen the log throwing competitions. No.
no, just no.
I'm going to talk today about why trans people aren't a fad, and I'm going to be doing it by sort of demonstrating through narratives that, you know, we don't choose to be trans because it's like fun and cool and like trendy. It's actually not. It's just, it feels so much better to express ourselves for who we are. And the reason why I want to talk about this is that there's a book that is very, very much framing the existence of trans men and AFAB non-binary people as being a trend and being an agenda that is tricking the youth, these children of concerned parents, into becoming trans, right? Choosing to be trans. Um, I'll talk about that today. I'm not going to talk about the book, though. You can find more information about that on my Twitter, and I'm probably going to put together a little email petition thing for the libraries to take that book down because it really has to go. But yeah, so I'm going to start. I'm going to go through each of these vague,
You want me to speed
generalized
this up because
groupings:
this moves
trans women,
something
trans men,
really
and
slowly?
non-binary people,
Yeah.
and sort of talk about some very specific things about why it's not fun to be trans. It just feels better. There's like a sense of true self in it. I'll start with trans women because I'm a non-binary trans woman. So I have a bit of
Sorry,
trans woman's narrative,
she.
a unique one to myself. Yeah, being a trans feminine person, a trans woman, is not that fun usually. Like, we
Actually,
make it
pause
fun for
for just a
ourselves because we
second.
love ourselves and who we
Yeah.
are.
I just want to say this because you got the pronoun. Oh, geez, I can't talk. You got the pronoun incorrect there.
Yeah.
And we talked about this in one of the other streams that I did about how it can be offensive for someone to get someone's pronoun wrong. And a lot of times it's just a simple mistake.
Yeah.
Like Chrismer just made a simple mistake. You weren't being malicious by saying he instead of she. You know,
Just
And I
don't do it
instant
again.
and I
yeah,
instantly
just
corrected
don't do it
myself.
again.
And I
But
instantly corrected myself on it too, which I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
people can misspeak, or people may not understand, or uh there's a lot of things that it can be when it's not malicious, and the best thing that someone can do is just correct them.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to a trans person and I say he instead of she, or she instead of he, they can correct me, and I will apologize for making that mistake, and then I'll use the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You catch more flies with sugar than with vinegar.
That's a line I
Uh,
use
I
quite
want.
often. And truthfully, I've had a lot of people misgender me in the past, and they just quickly say, I'm sorry, and then they use the correct gender, and it's never offended me. It's only when people use it in a malicious term, just like you're saying. People make mistakes all the time. I've misgendered cis people before that I've known for over 15 years. I've called them my brother for over 15 years, and I still will go, yeah, I mean, he over there he needs help, and slip ups happen. It's the brain works in weird, unusual ways, and it's just whether or not you're willing to make the correction. That's what separates it. If you emphasize it, that's when people are going to be like, can you stop being a dick and just be polite to
Right.
me because I'm a human being?
Right.
Like-
If you correct and they shrug it off, then it may be malicious. But if they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and correct themselves, no, it's not malicious, and it shouldn't be something that is offensive if someone mislabels you like that.
Legitimately, if somebody
yeah.
gets offended by you doing that and it was an honest mistake, then they themselves are in a depressed state and probably need a hug.
Yeah.
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 I
Everyone
was.
has bad days. People can snap at the slightest thing.
And it could be just
But
one of those days.
You know,
but what you don't do is walk up to someone and ask, "Oh, hey, are you a dude?"
Yeah. No.
Even when
Yeah, you
that's
don't.
happened to me
Yeah.
before, it doesn't bother me. I just go, no, I'm trans. I'm a female. I would prefer if you call me a female in the feminine form. And I just give them a big smile and carry on with my day.
That is one
I
of the.
was.
It's really curious to speak of the language, or rather the pronouns, because it's in Indo-European languages you have the gendered pronouns, but in my language, Finnish, there is only one pronoun, which is gender neutral. And if you speak of a person without without a person's name, you you can't directly tell whether this person is male, female, or non-binary, or whatever.
that's convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really
I mean,
wish that the English language was that way. God, that's annoying that it's not.
and then you
Yeah,
have languages like French and Spanish, where
Spanish.
inanimate objects are he and she.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's always confused me.
and the same system of a gender neutral pronoun is also in, for example, Estonian and the Karelian language, because they are very closely related. So it's in
Yeah.
the neighboring languages as well.
I once corrected a non-binary person when they misgendered themselves. So I mean, even even that mistake can happen. So, yeah, I mean, people make mistakes, and you should respect that, and that is often respected. It's very few who get angry about that.
Anyway, it's a struggle. It is a struggle for trans people to get the appropriate pronouns right when people talk to them or people talk about them. And I kind of get it,
And
as to
especially
why.
if you've known the person for a long time and you knew them as, we'll just say, a she for 20, 30 years, and then they transition and become a he, it's very easy to slip up and call them a she again.
Yeah, totally.
Because you have for 20 or 30 years. I've talked to people who have a child that is transitioning, talked to people who have transitioned, and the people will refer to their child with the wrong pronoun by accident because they raised them as one and now they're the other, and it's just a slip up.
To kind of go into an explanation with that one, I can give an example for myself. I have a relative who has gone out of their way to deliberately misgender me and continuously do that even after being
And that's when
corrected
it's
multiple
malicious.
times.
That's when it's malicious.
It was malicious and it was not intentional. But I have had my brother, who I've known for 20 years, and I told him that I'm transgendered and that I'm now female, and he hasn't once misgendered me, but no, I'm sorry, he did one time, but it again was a Freudian slip, just like you described. And after he said that, he's like, I'm sorry, and I'm like, sweetie, don't worry. And you could see he had no maliciousness in his voice whatsoever. He really was apologetic. There's the difference.
Whereas you have people like my brother who is very conservative in his viewpoints, who I still haven't come out to as trans because obvious reasons.
Yeah, their brother doesn't know about me yet.
No, he doesn't, and I prefer
Well,
to keep it
he
that way.
knows that they're with the female, but
Oh, he knows I'm with a woman, but he doesn't know that the rest of it.
Okay, so real quick, I just got my second COVID shot today, and my arm hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Both of my COVID shots, the only side effect that I have gotten from them is it feels like someone just punched the shit out of my arm.
Yeah.
Like a really bad bruise. And it'll feel like that for a couple of days and then it'll be fine.
I felt like I was getting sick for a couple days and my head was all swimmy, but I got both my shots, so I'm completely cyborg now. My
Awesome.
Wi-Fi is working wonderful.
So you're
you've
5G.
got the 5G nano chip.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow,
I'm hooked up.
wow. Yeah.
How's the 5G?
Oh crap!
Is the
Everybody
5G
got the
alright?
5G. I got
done
screwed
speed
over. I only
test
got the
yet?
4G.
Yeah, I've been doing speed
Damn it.
testing and it's working fine. It stung a little the first couple days, but now the stinging's gone away and now it's wonderful.
Has it made your dental fillings, Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Has it made your dental fillings pick up radio stations yet though?
I haven't noticed that, but I can now shoot a heat beam out of the palm of my hand that I can directionalize.
Oh, nice. That
The
must be nice.
5G radio waves or the
That's
5G
cool.
laser beam. So I have that now.
So it's like Iron Man without the suit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah.
badass.
See,
That's
this is the
badass.
reason
Fucking
why I
right.
feel screwed. Everybody got the 5G. Slim's over here being able to shoot heat palm or heat blast out of his palm. Like the best I can do is defrost with my 4G LTE.
Oh, and
got
I was
screwed.
told, the other day that it changed my DNA. So now I am somehow my DNA is now transformed somehow. So I think I'm a
You're
lizard
lizard
person as well.
yeah. You're
That's why
part
I'm
lizard person.
Transformed. Yeah, transformed. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why we picked the thumbnail that we did.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. When I saw it, I laughed so hard, and I was like, "Yes, that is like perfect."
I was
Everyone
like,
can thank Vishanti for that one.
We should probably just put Optimus Prime on the thumbnail.
Optimus
and
Pride.
Vish said something, and it made me think, oh my god, Optimus Prime flying the trans flag. I was like, that's got to be the thumbnail right there.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
just too awesome to not be.
We were doing. We were. Yeah. On our channel, we were doing an undercover gay coding in movies and TV, and so like the first.
What the
Yeah.
fuck is that? That sounds shady.
That sounds very flirty.
Yeah, that sounds very
it
flirty.
wasn't that great. It kind of was a little spoofy, but I never thought about how like there were characters that you kind of didn't think that were a queer that were kind of, you know, they were talking about the certain bad guys and stuff. Yeah, and so I think he definitely was one of those characters who was in the closet gay, and that's why he was yeah, definitely. I think
was that a video about queer coding and queer society that was kind of like men who were very flamboyant and that with the stereotypes and stuff?
Yeah, it was kind of cringy, but it did have a couple good points against a couple cringy points.
Yeah.
But it's fun to think about evil villains that could be queer, and you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, honey. Like Priscilla, you know, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I see that.
Well, you know, a lot of people have claimed that I don't really want to say his name because YouTube doesn't like people to say his name, but we'll call him Schmadolf Schmittler. Yes. A lot of people have claimed he was like that because he was gay, which I think is just a really, really shitty thing to say because, you know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it on that. I think it was the meth that he was shooting up every morning, or his doctor was shooting
oh
into him
yeah,
every morning.
oh
I
yeah,
think
the
that's.
schmotzies loved their methamphetamine.
Oh man, they
Oh
did.
yeah.
So yeah, for sure. So I think that was a lot of the push and a lot of it, and there was a lot of fun sexual stuff happening behind the closed doors with a lot of the high-ranking people. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it was very. Uh, I mean, now that we know about it, I don't think it was very closed off. So I don't think he did that just because of that, because they were still enjoying those things behind closed doors. So it wasn't like, oh, we can't do these, we're not going to do them. So that's not why they did it.
Well, anyway, let's get back to the video.
Yeah.
Video.
And we really cherish being able to be ourselves usually. But it's not super fun. The moment I came out, I faced very horrific emotional violence threats from a roommate who I was living with. Not fun. People stopped listening to me the same way, right? The reason it's so much better than staying identifying as a man was because identifying as a man was kind of torturous. It's essentially like you're taking my true identity and erasing it and forcing me to be something I'm not. And that is honestly, it's a form of torture. So, it's not fun to be a woman because there's all kinds of misogyny. And it's not fun to be a trans woman because there's all kinds of trans misogyny. I've been called aggressive, which I feel all women are familiar with that one. I've been called a tinfoil hat for calling out transphobia. So that's a bit trans misogynistic, but I'm sure cis women have been called tinfoil hats or similar terms for, calling out misogyny in general. I've also received death threats just for being trans. So, yeah, that's a whole
Yeah,
other
what the
bottle of worms that even
fuck?
cis women deal with sometimes.
That's
But
no
like
fun.
I got death threats before I even really started making this effort to be like to have some kind of YouTube thing, right? I'm not famous even now. Like I'm not popular. I've gotten death threats. So yeah, not fun. It's not a choice. I didn't choose to be trans. I just, I decided it wasn't even a choice. No, it's easier to not erase who I am and not live in horrific depression and anxiety, along with having my identity erased. Yeah,
Yeah.
trans men. Obviously, I can't really speak to the narrative of trans men. I've had some conversations about this though, and I've done a little bit of reading. So what I'm going to offer you is limited by that capacity. But like trans men do deal with toxic masculinity, and I think this is actually a pretty interesting issue to address because like toxic masculinity is an issue that men need to address, but trans men can't actively address that without also endangering themselves because you have to out yourself. A trans man would have to out themselves to their cohorts. And if they did that, if it's a very toxic atmosphere, that could put them in actual physical danger, definitely emotional danger. Yeah. So, like, there are these pressures to be even more like cis people than cis people are expected to be when you're trans. And I think
Mhm.
I think it's just as bad for all trans people, but binary trans people are pressured so much to be passing and to.
And might I actually add, what's even worse is being non-binary because a lot of people don't understand that there's more than, two.
It's a spectrum, it's not one or the other.
Exactly.
That's
It's
that's
like autism spectrum. It's not Connor's autism and Asperger's autism. There's a spectrum in between and beyond, just like with gender.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and also I would like to point out that I don't think, and I haven't really had uh the feeling that as a binary trans woman, I have some sort of huge expectations to pass, whereas non-binary trans people do not. I've never heard or experienced this sort of extra pressure, and I can't understand where she is getting this
Well, it
extra pressure.
yeah, it's different for everyone. I'm sure, and you know, not having to go through things is great.
Yeah, and it
Uh,
depends on where it is.
yeah, different people will have a different set of complications, a different set of supporters, and uh, things like that, depending on where they are, who they know, and everything. And the whole transphobia or anything with LGBTQ plus, uh, the biggest thing about people who are against gays and trans people and everything is they just don't understand. They see it as weird. They may have never known someone like that. I know growing up I was a bit of a homophobe because I had never known a gay person. And when I went to college, uh, I met quite a few gay people, and they became some of the closest, dearest friends that I've ever had that I'm still friends with to this day, 20 some years later. And I realized, oh my God, these people are not bad like I thought they were.
Yeah, I had a similar background when I was a Mormon, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too proud of those days because I was a severe homophobe, even though I was, coming to grips with my own sexuality. And yeah.
Well, then again, look at where you were raised. I mean, how did they treat us when we went to the hardware store and they
Oh
told
God.
me?
Okay, we've got a story to
Yeah.
tell here.
Yeah, I haven't heard this story.
When I had to go back up to South Carolina to pick some things up from because I'm moving down to Florida. We went by the hardware store because I had to get a copy for a key for the house, and she was standing right behind me. Nobody could see her as we were entering the store. Well, we entered the store. She kind of peels off to the right. No, we entered the store. Sorry, they were having a nice conversation. Like it was like 8 or 9 people there having just a conversation. I walk in. She's behind me. She peels off to the right and, in full view of everyone, and suddenly everyone shuts up and just stares at her the entire time. Just there was a good 10 minutes we were there because I gave the dude the keys. He's like, uh, what what do you want, sir? I'm like, this is the copy of this key. And he like as he's walking to the back, he's still staring at Raisin, and I'm like I'm just internally laughing to myself because it's as though they had never seen, a trans person before, but which probably they haven't.
And
Yeah.
they may not have. That's,
Yeah, I know.
small
Yeah.
town in the South where it's very, very conservative Christian.
Yeah,
Even if someone is trans, there's so much pressure from their community to not be trans or to not be gay
yeah,
or anything like that, that they hide it. So even if they have met a trans person, that person has not actually transitioned because everyone is so against it.
yeah.
You want to know? You want to know what was really fun? We took over a hotel in Las Vegas. Swinger Corporation hired us all to be entertainment for a weekend in Las Vegas. And as we were driving through, we stopped in Utah, I believe is where it was.
Oh God.
Anyways, it was a
Oh,
small. It was a small town, and we didn't think of this. It's 20 performers, and some trans, men, women, but all of us are barely wearing any clothes because it's the desert, and we're driving to Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and we're not thinking about it. And so we go into this In and Out, and I just was in the back, following everybody in. And as we walk in, you just saw all these people, like exactly same thing. They were talking, they were having fun, they were doing stuff. The whole restaurant stops, turns to us and stares, and the whole time nobody's talking, and they're just like watching us. Of course, it is kind of late at night, and one of our friends is talking a little loud, and so this lady's like you guys can't be in here, and then they tried to tell us off, and we're just sitting there laughing at them, like, oh my god, honey, like, you people have never seen us before, like, you don't even know like what life is. It was
But yeah, they were
that
they were basically staring at her like she was a unicorn. Like
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
you
yeah,
could
yeah.
hear a pin
that
drop.
that
Slim,
must have
I'm sure
been
you understand what I mean by like I live a little bit flamboyantly, like with fishnet and a little bit more on the gothic side and everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, going
Oh,
into that very conservative hardware
safe
I
space.
store.
Safe space. It's a conservative safe space. It's exactly what it
I
is.
Yeah,
that
that's
that
a
just
good way to put it.
that just has to be really really weird.
Well, there
I
was a
mean,
woman in the back
I
who was
mean, I
actually
can't.
paying, and she stopped. Her hand was still in her purse the entire time I was in there. It wasn't until I left did she actually go, "Oh, yeah," and handed the money to the woman.
Yeah.
Jeez. So I've actually experienced this, of course, not as a trans person or anything, but uh, when I went to college in Asheville, North Carolina, which is, for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically the East Coast San Francisco,
Yeah.
like very hippie, gay,
Liberal. Liberal.
trans friendly,
Yeah.
liberal paradise.
Yeah.
But when I went to college, it wasn't nearly like that as it is now. It was still, pretty conservative. And my buddies and I were in a metal band back then. So, we all had like shoulder length or longer hair
Mhm.
and tattoos and
Yeah.
wearing like Black Sabbath t-shirt and stuff like that. And we were driving around one day and we decided we wanted to stop at Arby's and get a Jamocha shake. So we go into Arby's, and the woman working there looks at us and goes, "Y'all ain't from around here, are you?" We're like,
Heard that.
Yeah.
yeah, we live here and we all grew up like 2 hours away." She's like, "No, y'all's from California, aren't you?"
Oh
Oh God.
God.
Jeez.
And we were
Oh
like,
man.
"No, never even been to California." "No, y'all can't be from around here. Y'all's from California." It's like, oh my god! Like,
Prejudices.
has she never seen someone with long hair and a uh, metal band T-shirt on?
And
Like,
what's
what
Don't
the
you
super
know
fuck?
that
crazy?
don't you know that it's only legal to dress like that in California?
Yeah, that's what's so crazy is that blows their world reality. You know, they live in
Yeah.
this little box, just that exploded her existence, and she had to keep saying, "Nobody lives here that looks like that." No, you
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's how
It
Yeah.
she needed it to
yeah.
be,
The
and
funny
it's like,
thing is,
no, honey, it's good. Go ahead.
all the people in the hardware store I knew because I grew up with them, and they always knew I was a little bit different. Okay, they knew
Yeah, now
they
they
know I like dick. Okay, just they knew I
yeah.
like dick. So it probably came as no shock to them who was behind me, but at the same
Yeah.
time, they were like, "What the fuck did he drag in here?"
So I know this has nothing to do with exactly what well, actually it does because he is. So the Enigma is my boss. He's got blue puzzle pieces tattooed all over his whole body.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So he lived with us for 2 years, me and my significant other at the time. And I would just follow him around right behind him, walking into stores and walking into places because you would just see everything stop. There would be a whole world around
Yeah.
you going on. And then as soon as people noticed him, it would stop, and or you would have families that would just run up to him and then all of a sudden had 21 questions. So I'd have to stand there next
Oh.
to him. And yeah, it was really cute. They take photos, and but I'd have to stand next to him. And as soon as I saw that he was getting annoyed, I had to intervene, and I had to be like, okay, let's go over here. We need to, stop. And it was
Give him
just
his
so
space.
amazing.
Give him his
Yeah,
space.
exactly. Because he's an older gentleman. At the time, he was in his 50s, And so it was like he's gotten tired of kind of. So it was just funny. I could just stand behind him and just watch chaos ensue as he walked through the world, and people's minds got blown because his eyes were tattooed black. So people saw him and were like, "You're not real. That's not real." And you're like, "Well, poke him." Well, don't poke him, but like I poke him.
Yes, don't
He's
poke
there.
the eyeball. I
Don't
mean,
poke
like,
the
you
eyeball.
can
Yeah.
poke the hand or something, just don't poke the
Yeah,
eyeball.
yeah. And then of course we're stage artists, so of course we pull out something, we do some silly trick or something for everybody, and it's just so funny to be able to like see how you can burst somebody's bubble of their reality like so fast.
Yeah.
Really quick before we should watch the thing, I was downtown and I was looking at my phone, and there was a lady coming around the corner looking at her phone, and we both looked up at the same time, and she screams and grabs her purse and jumps back and goes, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And I said, "No, I would have done the same thing. Yeah, no, I know what I look like. I'm not stupid. I would have screamed too."
I can just see a Karen getting mad just because of how you guys look.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Like wanting to
happens.
Oh
speak
no,
to the
like
manager
that
just because you're
legitimately.
there.
No, like
Yeah,
that
totally.
legitimately happens, Quitties. Just the other day, Chrissy was with me. We went to the grocery store.
Oh God.
All we did was pick up like chips, some tomato sauce, and some meat because I was making chili con queso. And legitimately, she looked at the two of us. She was so happy and friendly to the people in front of us. But she got to us, she like grabbed our chips, crumpled them up. She like threw the tomato sauce against the chips and like literally threw our meat into the grocery bag and everything like that. And she
Yeah.
really was very angry
Aggressive.
just by looking at us.
Aggressive.
But then when she looked at the people behind us, she immediately went back to, "Hi, sweetie, how's everything going? I hope your day's well." I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
where the
I
hell was
I
that
would
treatment for
complain.
us?
She did. She did.
Yeah.
She did. She went right to the manager.
No, I didn't carry it out. I just walked over to the manager and I was very polite and I was just like, I think this lady over here might need a break. She was rather aggressive with us. So
Yeah,
that's all I said, and I'm very polite and I just went about my day, but at the same time I was like, wow, this is normal treatment that we will see from people on a day-to-day basis, even in a progressive place like
That's
Florida.
bullshit.
I've had
you don't have that reaction. How do you get angry at that?
It's so we've been with a group of performers sitting at a table, and we've had people walk over and be like, "Why are you here?" or "What do you do?" And then usually as soon as we say we're a circus or something, they're like, "Oh, okay," and it completely flips. But it's so weird how people are aggressively approaching us and like, "What do you do?" And it's like, dang, I'm existing. Can you like not be abrasive?
Like, no, but seriously, Slim, you're 100% accurate on that. Like, legitimately, I'm just existing. Is that a problem?
I mean, what I
It
what
is
I
to some people.
It is. Yeah.
what I
It is some
really
people.
what I really time after time, what really surprises me is why do these people think that it's okay to be an absolute dipshit and an asswipe to a person you've never met before. Know
Yeah.
the background, who they are, what their name is, but you still think it's okay to be an absolute dick to this person, and then would get offended. I mean, immensely offended if
And
this person you're being a dick to were a dick to you.
yeah, and especially for behaving. If we're just sitting there being nice, if we're being loud and abrasive or we're being loud and rude, okay, come over and ask us to be quiet, and I understand that part of it. But if we're just sitting there doing nothing or walking down the street, you don't need to involve yourself in my life at all, because I'm not involving me in your life per se, other than you're getting upset that I exist in the world, I guess.
Oh, I have pissed off so many people just by existing. I've
Yeah.
had milkshakes and sodas and stuff like that thrown at me from the back of a truck.
I've been spit on.
Yeah,
Yeah, all
Chrissy's
kinds of
literally
fun
seen
stuff.
scars that I have on me from people assaulting me.
Yeah.
When I was 16, around when I first started wearing a dress, and I was walking around San Diego in the 90s in a dress, I definitely had to. I never really got in a fight, but I had to stand up to a bunch of people. Like there'd be 5 dudes walking down the street, and all of a sudden they're like, "Why are you wearing that dress?" And I'd be like, "Cause I can." And I'd have to like make myself big, and like if I didn't stand up for myself, then they were gonna try to. I don't know what, but that was my thing. Is I was just like, "Nah, screw you. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I don't care if I'm wearing a dress." But it was very not fun.
No, yeah, definitely have been in the same spots that Slim has been in before.
Okay, let's watch more video.
Yeah.
Because I want to get to the end because I got some stuff to talk about how like this isn't a trend because there's history in ancient times of writings of trans people. So, but let's watch the
To fit the stereotype of what it means to be a binary gender, more so just to prove themselves, right? And that's not fun, right? Cis people get to be themselves however they want, but trans people are generally cordoned into tighter boxes. Non-binary people, lastly, I also have a personal narrative to this. As someone who is not binary, I didn't really speak to the pressures to be perfectly feminine as a non-binary woman. But that is something even I get pressured into, and I have the excuse of being, well, no, I'm non-binary. Like that's something I can like lean on. But also, like non-binary people in general are often even erased by other queer people, other trans people. Um, it's not super fun to be non-binary because the whole world is expecting you to fit into a box, and being non-binary, like you're just you don't fit into a box. And I lean very heavily towards the feminine side, and honestly, at some point, maybe I will pass as a cis woman, like just visually, just because I have those sorts of dysphorias that might lead me hopefully to like being able to pass a little bit, but I don't really want to pass. I want to be me. I don't want to be cis. Like I actively don't want to be cis. And so yeah, non-binary people get very we get bullied often for just not quite fitting the narrative that binary people expect, right? So no. So obviously you can see just from those simple things, it's far more complex than that. But those simple things, trans men, trans women, non-binary people, we all face these very serious issues where it's not fun to be us. It's less fun. It's more not fun to pretend we're not us. That's really where it's at, right? That's nobody's stealing your daughters, right? Sorry about the blinks. That was my phone. I'm not really going to edit this too much. I'm going to put some overlaying text everywhere. Tell me if you like that. Yeah. Anyways, I want to end this with a couple notes. Often people will cite things like detransition. It happens sometimes, and that's fine. It's a very small percentage. Far more people.
And transmedicalism, for instance, is a really bad thing that goes on sometimes. Basically, it's someone who's faking it, is from what I understand.
Yeah, that's not a
No,
term I've heard.
it's not that they're faking it. It is that trans medicalists claim that non-binary people are faking it, and that you need to have gender dysphoria to be trans,
Oh
and they
yeah.
disrespect non-binaries and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I still think that's absolute bullshit because non-binary
Yeah,
trans
of
people
course.
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a select few group of people, usually, I mean,
Oh, well, there's always a select group of few people that are fake and don't really believe what they say they believe, no matter where you go or what you do. I'm sure
Yeah.
Quiddies can find somebody who thinks that the team in the NBA is somebody that they believe in, but they really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's everywhere. It doesn't matter. But it's always a small, select group. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean the whole population. It's like 5% at
Not
best.
even that, maybe 1%.
Yeah, I'm being very generous, but
Maybe even 1%, not even 1. I mean,
a vast majority of people who claim that they're trans are truly trans, even if they are non-binary, and you don't have to have certain dysphorias to be trans.
Yeah.
If you're working on transitioning, it's not fun, it hurts, or you have to go through these long processes or pay a lot of money. So if you're faking it, you won't do it for very long because
No,
it's not
yeah,
gonna
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And also, even if there is a person who thinks they might be trans and they're trying this not different labels and see what fits, and then they realize that no, they were cis. That's also completely valid. Like that
Yeah,
also happens.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Finding yourself. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was done.
So yeah, finding yourself is a process, and so you may at one point in time or another be figuring that out. Maybe you thought this is the path you want to take. You start taking it and go, oh, never mind. That's not exactly what I was thinking it was going to be. So that's not a problem either by trying different things, because maybe you don't know. Like I didn't understand the whole. I did when I started going through puberty. I didn't understand why I didn't to feel like I felt like the other boys is what I started noticing. And even though I was playing sports, I played every sport. I began noticing I wasn't into following the sports. I love playing, but I wasn't into following like the stats. And then I wasn't into cars and other things that the boys seemed to be. I wanted to go play with my friends that were the girls. So I started noticing it, but I didn't understand it. So that was a whole process in itself, was going through what do I feel. I started painting my nails, I started wearing makeup, I started wearing dresses um, in public, which unfortunately for my parents was a shock. But yeah, if you're trying things out, that can be a thing. I have heard of a trend on the social medias of people pretending to be things just so they can get attention and clicks.
Yeah.
But again, I believe it's a very, very small
That's
percentage.
yeah.
And as long as they're not doing it negatively, I don't give a flying fuck if you're sorry to excuse my language. If you're
No,
faking it,
You can
fucking
swear here.
curse. You can fucking curse all you
Okay.
fucking want.
Okay, I forgot to ask. I usually ask before it, but anyways, uh, if you're promoting it and talking about it, you're helping us to some extent, anyways. And I know nobody should be faking anything, for
Yeah.
sure. But it's the reason like we're talking about this here is because the more that we talk about this and make this normalized, the less taboo it becomes, and the more regulations we can have, and the more yeah, you know what I'm saying.
The more educated individuals that are out there, the more intelligent thoughts can be created.
There you said it way better than me, honey.
Yeah.
Now, to answer Batch, yes, you can
Yeah, I
have
was about to read
non-binary
Batch's
trans individuals transitioning. Doesn't necessarily mean that you are going from male to female or female to male. Like we were saying earlier, gender is on a spectrum basis, kind of like the rainbow in itself. One of the reasons why the pride flag is the rainbow is that we represent everything and every color out there underneath the sun.
And then
And
and
then
then
some.
like me, and then like for me, I go back and forth. So I'm
That would be
I
gender fluid.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I go back and forth. I'm gender fluid as well.
Now, the
I thought there was
Sorry,
something
non-binary
but every
new.
time I hear
individuals.
gender fluid, it makes me think of like transmission fluid or wiper fluid or
Oh
something,
my
and I'm
god.
like,
Well, no,
which,
like,
which
okay, let's
hole
take
do
that
I add
expression
this
for
bottle in?
example. No,
Well,
Quiddies,
that's
let's take that
exactly why
expression for example. You push on the pedal to stop, right? And that pushes on the brake pads, which pressure onto the calipers that stop the car itself, correct?
Yeah.
But then when you release the pedal, it allows the fluid to go back into the master slave cylinder and actually then go back into the master cylinder. Correct? So the fluid is constantly moving around. That's the way that gender fluid
Yeah.
individuals are. One day they can feel a little bit more feminine, but have some masculinity, and then some days that they're fully masculine, and then some days they're fully feminine, and other days they're literally both in between, both masculine and feminine. And it's literally however that they feel that day they want to be, and you can even be in that moment.
Some
Yeah.
some
And
non-binary
that, oh, go
some
ahead.
non-binary some
What's
non-binary
that?
people seem to be pretty consistent that they the one thing, like they have one general expression, but that is still within non-binary. It's not that they go it's not that they switch that much.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah. Like,
so it
take
can be
Slim,
different.
for example. They also like to be more cybernetic in that aspect. So it's not necessarily gender that's powering Slim, but more so wanting to be more mechanical than biological.
Yeah, I'm transforming my body into looking like a cyborg or not human to some extent, and that's my process right now.
But they're still considered trans because they are transitioning.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the gender fluidity, like you just explained it, where, some days you may feel more like a female, some days you may feel more like a male, or it can be minute by minute type thing.
Oh yeah.
I think that uh, that is something that a lot of people see as someone who's faking it,
And that's
who
what really
just
drives me crazy because that's not true.
wants to dress like a woman because it's some sick fantasy of theirs, which, you know, is
Okay,
bullshit.
Okay,
they
the
always
only
have
thing that
that
I have to say to
perspective.
anybody who wants to say a man or dressing in a dress or a woman wearing business outfit, seriously, you're going to tell me that 7 and 9 doesn't look smoking hot or David Bowie
Oh
didn't rock
yeah,
that dress?
7 of 9. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Dead Boy. Yeah.
No, like
Yeah.
legitimately, tell me straight to my face that David Bowie wasn't sexy as fuck in that dress
Yeah, he
and that
was.
7 and 9
he-
didn't rock that nice, beautiful outfit.
Yeah, he was.
Absolutely.
100%.
Both of them were
100%.
fucking gorgeous.
100%.
Yeah.
Hey, see me in a dress and tell me. Never mind. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, Slim, I'd rather see you not. Oh, never mind. That's for the after show.
Yeah, the after show.
Well, it's for the after show, yeah. But
So let's watch a little bit more, and then
alleviate some very serious depression and are still on this earth because they transitioned. And most detransitions are, in fact, if you look at the research, they're in fact actually about people trying to remain safe. So they might be in communities that are ostracizing them for being trans. So if they detransition, they get community back. And we're communal centered beings. We can't survive without community very well. So for some people, it's just worth it to go back in the closet, at least for a little bit. Additionally, some people do that
yeah,
for
we're a
safety.
travel
If
species.
it's a very dangerous community that they're in, and detransitioning might allow them to stay at home without getting kicked out, might stop abuse that results from being transgender, like in having in an anti-trans or transphobic space, right? So I'm framing that not as like the person's fault, but like the space is the problem. Yeah, and also I want to point out some of the language I've used today has been about we don't choose to be transgender, and I want to make sure that that isn't confused for transmedicalist narratives, because what I'm talking about when I say we don't choose is that there is a neurological element to our identity. Our brain, our gender is stored a little bit in our brain. It's also cultural, right? So there are certain genders that I can't identify as because I am not of the culture they're from. So there are cultural elements. There's social elements like how we interact with each other, how we dress, things like that. No two cis people, like two cis women, they don't dress exactly the same, right? But there are social elements to gender expression too. But there is somewhat a neurological element to gender expression, and that's provable because kids tend to develop their sense of gender around the same age. If you look at the research, between the ages of 3 to 6, this stuff is pretty easy to research, so I'm probably not going to cite it. I want to try to get a video out more frequently. In the future, if more people subscribe to my Patreon, I might be able to hire on some people to help me do more research. But while I'm in school, I'm gonna try to do some more quick videos that I don't have to put as much work in, just so I can get more content out. Anyway, so yeah, transmedicalism, not cool. It's a term you can look up. It basically talks about how it's the idea that you have to use medical procedures to be transgender. The only biological component to being one gender or the other is in your brain. It's your neurology. That's it. So thank you to my patrons, Justine and the Blue Druid. Definitely.
Oh, okay.
No, I definitely will agree. It's definitely in your brain.
Yeah, it is in your head. It's like literally it was in your head.
Yeah,
But the same is true for the cis people, of course.
It like she was saying, it's not just one cause. You know, it's environmental, it's physical, it's chemical. You know, there's a lot of things that goes into it. Just like there's a lot of things that go into me not being trans, or
Yeah.
me not being gay, or however you want to say that. You know,
Yeah.
the chemicals in my brain tell me to be masculine and to like boobies a whole lot.
Yes, well, that's exactly it. Is that your brain tells you that you're a cis male, which is perfectly
Yeah.
fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a cis male in any way, shape, or form. But your brain tells you that you're a cis male. My brain is
Yeah,
telling me that I'm a woman, and that's really the
exactly.
separation between the
And
two. And
yeah, and there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with that. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that, but a lot of it is misunderstanding. A lot of it is conservative bias that people have,
You said the
to
wrong
not
word.
and it
want to
and
understand
Hold on
it.
a second. You said the wrong word there. It's not bias. It's bullshit. Conservative bullshit.
and
Well, I
it,
was being nice.
eventually, yeah, at the end of the day, it's sometimes the even though ignorance is bliss, as they say, but sometimes it seems to me as if the ignorance and the and stuff and the misunderstanding of these issues is deliberate. These conservatives and others do it on purpose, and I cannot
Yeah.
understand why they would do such things on purpose.
the only thing that I can think of is if people are actually in the understanding and awareness of what's going on, but still choose to be the complete jackass that they are, then they're in spite of us because they wish they could beat us but can't beat us for their own conservative political right for some reason. That's the only thing that I can think of. If they don't understand and just are absolutely ignorant, then that's just because of ignorance. And well, everybody's ignorant of something, and I can forgive that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes
And
sense.
this isn't
No, it
it was
does.
it's not a craze because they've been writing about this in lots of ancient history and in the Native American culture. um uh Trans people were considered demigods and were looked up to, and in other cultures, in India and other things. So it's been around for thousands of years, that's been around. So this is nothing new, honey.
No, you're actually 100% right. This has been around for a while, and the Native American beliefs they consider that to be the third gender,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, two
in the
spirits.
Hindu, yeah, the third spirit. That's
Yeah.
thank you, Heidi. And in Hindi, it was considered to be part of one of the gods as a
Yeah.
representation of the god to
Yeah.
be trans.
Yep. And then in Roman times and Greek gods and other, I mean, it's been written about and talked about throughout
Oh, even in the
history.
Norse belief, like that's the
Yeah.
reason why Sleipnir exists is because Loki one day became a female horse and was impregnated and gave Sleipnir to Odin. Sleipnir is
Uh,
the
i- if
eight-legged
I may,
horse.
if I may, there is at least two Native American tribes. I won't try to pronounce those, but they reside in the Mojave Desert area. They recognize four genders. Navajos have a cultural third gender, and another one, and the Lakota have a
Avalokitekawa.
Navajo as the similar ones. So they aren't just the two spirits.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure because I haven't looked it up in a long time, but I used to do Native
Uh,
American
I
dancing and I did
I just
Native
I
American.
I just dug up my slides I made for a debate last year on agree to disagree. So I made on one slide on this.
Awesome.
This
No,
on the
I'm actually
debate.
glad that you looked those up so you could correct that and everything. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah. So again, it's not a craze. It's not anything new. It's not going to go away anytime soon. We're
Yeah,
here
this
to
has
stay.
spanned continents over millennia. It's been
Yeah,
around for
it's
a while
there
in
is
multiple different societies and cultures.
yeah, and there's in eastern Siberia, Koryak, Kamchadal, for example, have their shamanic people agenda. Mahu in Hawaii, Hijra in India, South Asia, Aravani in South India, and then the Native Americans. They got Gathoi in Thailand. They've got Fafafina in Samoa, for example. All around, all around the globe. There
Yeah,
is
everywhere.
every single place you can think of, every continent in you go to the Pacific, Oceania, Eurasia, Africa, etc.
Elan.
Yeah.
It has been there for centuries and for many millennia, and these
Yeah, even the
conservative
ancient Egyptians,
Oh yeah.
and then these
4,000 years
conservative
ago.
and then these conservative dipshits arrived by boat to North America and
Yep.
ban all this, and then it
Yep.
goes on to
Fucking Puritans.
yes, exactly, fucking Puritans, yeah. So
Goddamn white people.
basically,
Oh.
No, they can't
what
even
can
say white
we
people because the Norse were completely acceptive of transgendered individuals and non-binary individuals.
exactly?
So it's not even white people; it's the damn new Abrahamic faiths.
Yeah. Well, the Puritans were a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists is really
Yeah.
what it was. It was the first conspiracy theorists that England said, you know what, go be crazy over there. Usually people don't come back from over there, so go try to live there. And usually at the time, people would go there and not come back because historically nobody really made it back from there. So that's what they did. It's kind of almost like what they did to Australia. You know, they were like, we're gonna go send these people over there. It just wasn't prisoners, it was the crazies. And they said, oh, you guys are really weird. Go sit there.
Damn it, Slim! I've never had that revelation until you literally just mentioned it right now.
Well, now you know, and
Yeah.
knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
American hero.
All right,
Anyway,
so
one last video.
yeah, I think we have time
Yes.
for one more video, and it looks like Chrismer has pretty much picked the topic of the video. So give it a spin.
Okay, number 2. That'll be 1, 2. Yeah,
All
this
right.
one.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Fuck you, Florida.
The Republicans that control the House of Representatives here in the state of Florida passed a bill this week that actually now we're waiting on the Senate to pass their version of it. But again, Republican controlled, it will pass. But they passed a bill this week that will allow for the state to demand genital inspections of high school and college athletes.
And this is when
Because
I flip
according
the
to these
table.
Republicans, it is just a shame that you have all of these transgendered women, born men, decided to become women to fit with their identity. And apparently, they're all playing sports in Florida high school and colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right.
not a problem.
Pause it for a second.
First of all, it's not a thing that's actually even
No, I wanted to get further
Okay,
in the
what
video.
he said literally right after there is absolutely perfect. It's not a problem.
No,
Yep.
it's not a problem. This is
And it never has been.
it's a solution in search of a problem is basically
Yep.
a nice way to put it.
I couldn't say it
But
better.
I do want to bring up the South Park episode about this because they fucking hit the nail on the head with Macho Man Randy Savage
I was
identifying as
wondering
a
if you were
woman
going to bring that
to
up or
win
not.
the triathlon or whatever it was that they were doing, the strong woman competition. You know, but this is not something that we see. And if anyone thinks that they're going to inspect genitals, no, they're not.
I'm sure they will.
No.
If needed, because it's as I take it, it's mandated by the law to to conclude the gender of said athletes one way or the other. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it actually really happens.
Well,
And what we
number
do
one,
here,
that's not how you verify someone's gender.
no,
Because, you know, as we know, you can have male genitalia but be a female, or
And
vice
vice
versa.
versa.
But
and what does
this is something
happen?
that's going to be challenged in court,
Yeah.
and it's never going to be enacted
Don't
because
they?
this is a heinous invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
And
No
just
shit,
to
Sherlock.
try to pass a bill like this makes me fucking sick.
Yeah, and what does happen is adults abusing positions like this to sexually abuse children. So that's gonna give them an excuse.
Yeah, that's going to be the major thing because we're finding out more and more some of these medical doctors for schools are being getting allegations of sexual abuse or whatever. So, yeah, you're just making it so this person has to look at them when, like, what you just draw blood, right? I mean, if you wanted to see and you test them for drugs and other things with that blood, so you just take blood, right? Or am I incorrect?
I mean, you could possibly identify someone's gender by the hormones that are in their blood. I don't know how
Well, see,
accurate
that's
that
just the
test would
thing is
be.
I don't know if you could with mine or not because mine has been identified as being female right now.
Okay, that's exactly why I asked.
I
Because I
should,
wasn't sure.
I should note that it is I'm not sure. It depends on how old the person is that the blood test is taken off. If it's a prepubescent child, that's a bit tricky one. But
Okay, I see where.
that's a bit tricky one.
The
But
batch. Yeah. I play D&D. Wait. Sorry
no,
for interrupting you. Sorry
there's
for
a
I
hormone
interrupting you.
play
level.
dudes and dudettes.
But
I had to
it's
get that joke
the
out.
Oh, different D&D.
but it's the sex chromosomes. It's the sex chromosomes that would actually make them draw their own conclusions regarding the gender of said athletes.
Okay.
However, there are, if I remember, if I remember correctly, 18 variations of human sex chromosomes. So it's not that easy either.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's silly to
No,
even think that
excuse
you're
me,
gonna
18
Okay.
variations of human sex chromosomes, XY.
But yeah, let's just start looking at every kid's genitalia for no reason. Yeah, why not? I mean,
Yeah, every kid in that really awkward stage of life known as puberty and middle school and high school should have some adult just inspect their genitals each week to make sure that they're still the same genitals.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
that's
gonna
a lot
work out
about that.
really fucking well.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go on.
All right, yeah.
Happening. You might be able to find like maybe a handful, like 5 or less instances of this actually happening. But even if that's the case, you're talking about a state with millions and millions of people. This doesn't warrant legislation, let alone legislation that allows you to say, hey, that person's a little too good at this sport. Lift up your skirt and let's see what your genitals are. And that may be a bit of an oversimplification, but that is essentially what the bill allows. They can object to any particular student. Oh, and by the way, the women, transgendered men, actually are still allowed to play men's sport. They don't care about that. Like, sure, whatever. You go play with the dudes.
Hey,
Fine.
hold the fucking
But the
phone.
transgendered women, no, you can't.
This is actually something I've forgotten to mention with regards to the these bills about the trans people in sports on my own channel and in this one. Have any of you actually paid noticed or gathered? But these bills and those bills that have become law, they only talk about trans women and feminines. There's no, absolutely
Yeah.
zero mention
Yeah.
of trans men and trans masculines. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no,
yeah.
I
Mention of
definitely
trans
have
masculines ever?
noticed.
I've definitely
They
noticed that.
don't talk about the fact that cis men would have an advantage against trans men, and that would be an issue. Like, no, they don't talk about.
But how?
It's silly.
Because the testosterone levels, if I correct me if I'm wrong, but the testosterone levels of trans men are higher, or are typically higher, and they take uh, synthetic
Well,
testosterone.
I would need. It's kind of like arguing the same way that my estrogen level should be higher than a cis woman's. It's
Yeah.
actually supposed to be on par with the cis woman's right now. That's the reason why they take blood tests of me every bloody month.
And I should also mention that my testosterone levels, if I were to go back to uh, judo, I I used to do judo for closer to 10 years. If I went back now, and they tested me for testosterone, my testosterone levels, as measured by a big lab, is low. It's been something like half of the level of a cis female, so that won't give me any advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like
It's
legitimately
just
because I am on progesterone, that I have almost no testosterone in me whatsoever. I think my 5-year-old son has more testosterone than I do.
Uh-huh.
they're just jumping the gun. There's no proof of any of this yet. And if something starts showing that there may be some later on, then we'll deal with it. But don't start making laws against it until there's evidence for it. Because, yeah, you're evening out the body. And what, again, they're misconstruing is they think that somebody like The Rock is going to be able to just get transitioned in one day, jump into the Olympics, and win 20 gold medals.
Yeah.
Again, they don't understand it takes time and you have to go through a process, and you can't just go walk in to get surgery and walk out. Surgery takes healing. Even if you were to, let's say, not even take the hormones, which would be crazy as heck. Say you just walked in and got the surgery, you got 3 to 5, 6, 8 months sitting there and not doing anything anyways. how are you going to win the Olympics if you can't even move, run, walk, move your legs? You know.
Actually, the point of view of at least the Finnish Olympic Committee, and I have no reason to doubt the notion that this wouldn't be the opinion of the International Olympic Committee. Um, the, their opinion, at least some years ago, was that trans women can compete in the sports that are monitored by the Olympic Committee are allowed to compete in male or female series 2 years, well, a year or two after the genital surgery.
Yeah.
So even the Olympic Committee is of the opinion that yes, go ahead, but just get your balls removed. That's it. But it's trans women are allowed in certain circumstances to compete even in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So why would these dipshits in these states come up with, like Florida, Arkansas, etc., come up with this kind of dipshittery that trans women and girls cannot compete? Why? No good reason.
No,
Especially,
To answer your question quite calmly and plainly, because Florida is filled with Floridians.
Also,
I live in Florida.
Also,
You have a lot of Florida man in Florida.
There are a lot of Floridians.
They did it for no reason.
Oh dear God,
Wait,
damn it.
wait.
No, they have reasons.
Wait, I thought that my kids were playing the sports is so that they could win the Olympics. Right? So if they're playing sports to get into the Olympics, well, honey, they are going to be with competing with those people. So you might as well train with them. So why are you against it?
Because a girl got 8th place and complained that she was stolen. She had a victory stolen from her.
Yeah, well, her parents are probably the ones who did it. My kid didn't win because so and
No,
whatever.
she
Because
complained to
that
somebody.
girl's got male genitalia.
No, the person in question had already fully transitioned.
Yeah, that's what's even funnier.
But,
they still don't even get that part of it.
Karen's daughter lost, so that girl used to be a boy, so
No,
it's
it was
unfair. My daughter should have won.
it was a I believe like a high school. I can't remember exactly what happened, what it was, but yeah. Sorry, my
It's just
it's Christian conservatism.
wrestling.
In
That's
a
what it was.
nutshell.
That's what it was.
That's all it is.
It's just like saying me as a pole vaulter, which I was in high school, because I'm skinny, light, giggity. Because I'm skinny and light, I can't pole vault because there's heavier people on the team. You know, it's because I had the advantage supposedly. You're gonna say, and which isn't the advantage either. You know, if I can't pull the pole down hard enough to fling myself over, then I have a disadvantage. So
Yeah, work that pole, girl. Work that pole.
exactly, honey. So it's the same difference. You know,
Oh, Sweetie Slim, they were silly for not trusting you with the pole.
Yeah, well, I ended up working on the pole later, but we'll talk about that another.
Yeah, that's next week's show.
That's next week. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, let's.
Oh wait, so Micro is going to be here next week again too?
Sure. All right, on with the video.
And if we think that you may be transgendered, we can object and then submit you to go take one of 3 possible tests or a combination of these tests. And here they are. A physical examination of the student's reproductive anatomy, the student's genetic makeup, meaning they could actually do a DNA test on you, chromosome check to make sure that you're not XY, or the student's normal endogenously produced testosterone.
Why are you mentioning that man? the band's name.
Yeah, exactly. No, isn't that how they get the DNA thing from people? So they would actually have to jab your
That was
spine
the
with a
yeah.
needle.
Excuse. Did he just say they could? The third option would be to test whether or not this person's body would naturally produce or indigenously produce testosterone.
I
Did I
mean,
hear it correctly?
don't cis women produce testosterone? Just
yes,
not a
As
lot.
a matter of fact,
So-
there are
guess
some
what?
cis women who produce an enormous amount of testosterone.
Yeah.
I guess what? Do you know which hormone causes the female sex drive? Yes,
Testosterone.
testosterone.
Yeah.
So yeah, however, even if a man is asexual, he still produces testosterone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in females, it causes the sex drive, and as I understand it, has a part in initializing female puberty, and that's why women have more or less all women have bodily hair, armpit hair, arms, legs, uh, pu- pubic area. Uh, Testosterone they produce naturally do the trick, and that's why when the uh, postmenopausal women tend to have some uh, facial hair growth more than they would in their say 20s or 30s. That's testosterone.
And I think a lot of
Because
this
female
actually
body
comes
still goes on
from.
to produce testosterone.
I think a lot of this
So
comes from misteachings in our schools because a lot of our schools are sitting there teaching, well, women are estrogen and men are testosterone, and that's that, and they just kind
Yeah.
of walk away. Where, like you just proved, that's furthest from the truth, where testosterone is incredibly imperative to the female itself, and
Right.
even estrogen plays a role in the male body.
yes, indeed, it does.
So it really does kind of get confusing when people think, oh, well, estrogen is female and testosterone is male, and that's it. Period. Walk away, nothing more. And
I mean, there is some truth to that as far as that's
well,
the
that's the dominant hormone, but it's not the
Dominant, yeah.
only hormone because if you only had testosterone, then every male would be bald by the age of 14.
I mean, I was
Then
going
the
bald at
people
17.
No, I said 14
people
and every
And there are
male.
Yeah.
there are different types of testosterone. For
Yeah.
example,
Yes, and on
you
top of
have
that,
to
Heidi is
take
correct. There are different types.
Everyone
for example, a trans woman has to take two different kinds of testosterone blockers in order to prevent the male typical hair loss, because
yeah.
for example, the spironolactone does not prevent male typical hair loss. Because the spironolactone blocks just one type of testosterone. You have to take. I have no idea what the
Progesterone.
no I have no idea what the substance is called, but it's a medicine used to treat prostate cancer, and it works as an anti-androgen, blocking dehydrotestosterone, which causes male typical hair loss. So it's not that easy to test all this.
Yeah, everyone has the same hormone, but it just like someone mentioned, it's just one is more dominant in most men, and another one is more dominant in most women. So it's sort of it's more about how much of each one, but everyone has the same testosterone. The same hormones.
And the fact that, let's just spitball some numbers here. Let's say I produce 75% testosterone, 25% estrogen, and then Prismer produces 70% testosterone, and 30% estrogen. This is where gender fluidity comes in, because your body's producing different amounts than
Yeah,
other people.
my
Yeah,
estrogen is
and
actually abnormally high. I was born with it, and
Yeah.
I
But
actually do have abnormally high estrogen.
But that's not where gender fluidity actually comes into play. I hate to say it,
well, it's
Steve.
it's a
It's more
it's
of
a
just the
part of it. There's
rewriting in
there's
your
a whole
brain.
lot more involved, but it's a part of it.
It's definitely a part of it, yeah, but it's not the whole picture. There's a whole lot else to going with that.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going with the
um,
video.
most people don't know how much of testosterone of hormone they have anyway. They, most people don't know if they have X and Y chromosomes or XX.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, go on.
Right. All right.
Testosterone levels. So check your body's hormone levels. This is insanity. This is absolutely singling out this already vulnerable part of the population for no reason other than to be cruel to them. There is no problem with transgendered women playing sports here in the state of Florida or anywhere in this country, by the way. That's not a widespread issue that is somehow ruining sports across the country. So let's get that out of the way real quick, not to mention the fact these are the same people who think that, oh my God, we can't let a transgendered woman use a woman's restroom because what if it's really a guy trying to get a look at a woman's genitals? And here they turn around and they pass a law saying we can't have them looking at your genitals, but why don't you show us? That's what these perverts are doing. And that's what they are. They're perverts. They're absolute 100% perverts who want to be cruel to a certain part of the population, and they believe that this culture war BS is going to win them more votes the next time they're up for re-election.
Yep.
This is oppressive. This is disgusting. And those are the actually most two accurate words to describe the Republican Party today, not just in Florida, but all over the country. Oppressive and disgusting.
Fucking men.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when this video started, I didn't know which way this guy was going to go, and he actually looked like he was going to be for it. So he really surprised me there with how much he was against it. So good for him.
I really like
Kudos
his show.
to
I really like his show. His
Yeah, I
show's
love his
really
show.
good. Everybody should check it out.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But that's exactly right. How many times have you seen somebody's genitals going to the bathroom in public? Very rare. I mean, unless I guess you're at a trough at a baseball game or something, right? But are you there to look at somebody's genitals? No, everybody goes in, uses it, and leaves. I mean, there are perverts, obviously. I mean, there are bathrooms in San Diego, public bathrooms in San Diego that are notorious. If you go into them, you're going to get a little fun. But they're known for that. And you don't go to bathrooms in a park at 2 a.m. unless you're looking for fun. So that's a different story. But that doesn't have anything to do with anything other than that's happening, you know? So when you go into a bathroom and you're going to do if you go into a woman's restroom, how are you going to see anything anyway? So I don't know what they're trying to say. Who you're going to have to lay on the floor and like look under a stall, and then you're going to get caught, and you could do that anyway. So what does putting on, it just doesn't make sense what they say.
It doesn't make sense at all. That's the whole.
Absolutely zero sense. I've had 4 live streams in totaling up to about 4 hours in total, and I still have no idea where they come up with this fabulously weird shit. I don't get it.
I don't either.
I mean, I'm sure all that must not come from the Bible. All that is thick, so thick and horrendously weird that it can't all come from the Bible.
Well, my oh, no, I can't think straight right now. I can really think straight to begin with, but my family. I'll just say my family. It's the easiest way of putting it. We were actually having a conversation a couple months back about transgender stuff, and yeah, they brought up the Bible saying there are only two genders because God made Adam and Eve, and not Adam and Steve or whatever bullshit they came up with. And yeah, most of it does come from the Bible. They like to twist different what's the word verses into
Yeah.
meaning what they want it to mean. I called them out on that bullshit, and they stopped talking about it. They just don't pick up the conversation anymore.
We're small group animals, kind of like chimpanzees and other apes or monkeys and stuff. So anything outside of our group, we are scared of instinctively. So those people have not grown up enough or evolved enough for them to think outside of that box where a lot of us, where we can accept something new. It may be shocking at first, like somebody was speaking about earlier, how they were homophobic, but then opened up once they actually were brought into the culture or was in it, or met somebody in it. Same thing. These people are just scared to open up their brains and say this is something new. Kind of like I was saying about people seeing me or the Enigma. Their brains explode when they see us because they can't admit we live in the zeitgeist with them on this planet. So that's a lot of it. It's just fear. It's just they don't want to accept it. So don't let it happen because I don't want to think about it. Well, unfortunately, honey, our mental health is more important than your being scared of something or not wanting something to exist. I would rather not feel suicidal than you feel safe or live in your own bubble, unfortunately. Sorry.
It's called having a little bit of class and culture and not being a complete moronic dumbass so I can exist without having to be in discomfort.
I love going to the bar and sitting down next to somebody who's from somewhere else or lives a different life than I live, and that we both have a conversation about sharing our life experiences with each other. I would rather that than sitting around with somebody who thinks the exact same way, and we're not going to ever evolve our brains by talking about something different.
Don't stay in your echo chamber all the time. Learn a little different bit of culture and different ideas and thoughts.
Yeah, the reason why fundamentally it's also often that like don't associate with people who aren't us is because of that. That person might find out that this other thing interests me more than you, so I want to be with them. Like the be with other people, experience new things, and learn.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think
Anyway.
it's starting to get to a certain period of time.
Yeah.
What do you think? What is?
Yeah, sorry, I was texting Magda.
I had a feeling that you were, hence why I was making the comment.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been going for over 2 hours now, and I'm sure we could
And
continue
what good
talking
time has
about
it been?
this for another 2 hours
Yeah,
or more, and
this is a really interesting topic.
this may very well be a subject that we do cover again.
Yeah, well, definitely,
And I don't mean this to be offensive to any of our guests, but I would like to have other people on and get their views as well. Not, you guys are more than welcome to come back. I've really enjoyed hearing your points of view. I've really enjoyed talking to all three of you. but I would like to get more points of view as well.
You just
Just
can't
like Batch
too much
said
about.
in chat, this is not something that I know a lot about, and I'm the kind of person like I really want to know, because I have friends that are trans, and especially like Microraptor, I consider you a friend. We've known each other for
Yeah.
a year at
We're
least.
friends. We're friends.
And Slim and Heidi, I've really just met you two
always a
recently,
pleasure.
but I like both of you and would love to talk more to you about this and learn more from both of you.
Of course, why not? Why not?
So this is definitely something we probably will revisit sooner rather than later.
Also that we will be revisiting this again.
Yeah.
Knowing Vishanti, she'll probably want to be on one of these streams.
Yeah, I was really surprised that she was not here tonight.
Yeah.
I really thought she was going to be,
Me
but I
Please,
know she
she's
is
been
very busy.
To be honest with you, if she isn't buried in work right now, she's probably at home sleeping, trying to get through work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll probably try to schedule it again when she can be here and knows that she can be here. Because she's, Vishanti is fucking awesome. And this is one of those topics that
Vishanti is
she loves to
amazing.
talk about.
I was gonna say, Micro, I don't know if you've met Vishanti yet or not. And
I have.
I don't know if you've met Vishanti, but if you haven't, then you're going to be in for a massive treat when you do, because she is amazing.
Yeah, Vishanti, there's only one word for her, and that's awesome. Like, I fucking love that girl.
Yeah, she was absolutely fabulous and bang on as a guest when I had her a few weeks ago. It was
She is
just
our Wonder Woman. She
amazing.
is everybody's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Well, I've only talked to her on Discord. I've never been on the same stream with her, but I would love to be. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's just as awesome on stream as she is on Discord. Trust me.
Yeah.
You will love her, Micro.
Oh yeah, and with all the bullshit that I've had to go through with drama and shit like that, of course, we're not going to talk about that, but I think everyone knows what's been going on, and she has been really awesome to talk to, and she's been very supportive of me through all of it. And Vishanti is kick-ass.
Micro, Vishanti, and a couple others. Those were the ones that really helped me actually even open up to the community and acknowledge that to everybody that I was trans like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Like legitimately, if it weren't for Micro and Vishanti, I don't know if I would be I don't know if I would have done it.
Oh, good. So Jinshu says in chat, the Chicky Nuggy Protection Squad team leader reports all Chicky Nuggies are secure.
Oh, good.
Good.
That's good. That's always good.
Sure that the
Good
Chicky
to know.
Nuggies were good.
Oh, but now I want chicken nuggies. Damn it!
Here at the
so
bunker,
if you're
we
around
live on
Vishanti,
Chicky
you will
Nuggies and
want
cocaine.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
think he'll get it.
But thank you all for coming. I'll go down the list and get final thoughts from everyone. First, we have, let me go over here. First, we have Slim Living Cyborg. Final thoughts.
Thank you all very much. It was a lot of fun. Can't wait till the next time, or let me know anytime that you all are doing any streams. And I would love to join you all. Tomorrow for game night, we are doing my 400 sub special. Yes, I somehow have 400 subs. That's a lot of subs, huh? And we will be doing a roast of me. So we're having people come on and roasting me, and we're going to play some games. And a couple of the games are going to be based around making fun of me. So the questions will be making fun of me. So it's just going to be a whole night of roasting me. And yeah, we're gonna put me on a spit, and you're gonna put barbecue sauce on me and rotate me over a fire. And oh, never mind.
I was wondering if you were going to answer that because I definitely wanted to spit roast you.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna spit roast me tomorrow.
Can someone who's a mod drop the link to that stream in the chat for everyone?
Yeah. And or just my channel. If you just could put my
Yeah,
channel in there,
his
that
channel.
would be wonderful. And then anybody who wants to be on, I'm inviting as many people on to roast me for 30 seconds or a minute long. I can only have 10 on at a time, so what we'll do is we'll rotate through people, but I will have certain guests that will be on the whole time. But anybody can come on, and then we're going to be playing games that you can join us in the games no matter if you're on with us or not. You can join us in the side chat as well. So it's just going to be a whole day of making fun of me. So please join us. Thank you all very much.
Awesome.
Mom, thank you so much for throwing that link up for us.
Yes, thank you guys. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So everyone go over to Slim's channel tomorrow. And next on the list, the amazing Heidi. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. This is something that I was already somewhat familiar with, but still, these somehow still shock me, or not. Maybe shock is not the best word for this, but it really gets to me in on so many levels. Pre-transition, I was involved with judo. I would have I would have been gutted if I had to stop doing judo just because I'm trans, but that never came to be. But it still kind of gets to me, especially because I'm a trans woman myself. Yeah, I still I have hopes for better future because there are still pieces of legislation that are still making things a bit better. For example, I had a while ago. I had the news of I think it was North Carolina. No, not North Carolina, but anyway, another state. Yes, Virginia. That banned the quote unquote panic defense in violent crimes. So that's why I have high hopes for the future and with regards to these bans in sports.
Yeah.
So
and
there we have it. So if you don't mind, I'd like to do some self shilling.
Yeah, I was about to say, shill your channel.
Yes, I have, as I said in the start or beginning, I have a streaming channel here on YouTube. It's Heidi's Corner, which I can provide a link to at least on the server, unless someone has a moderator or someone else has the link
someone
to the
can
channel.
throw it up in chat.
Yeah, in the chat. Yeah. Anyway,
that would be awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, what I do on my channel is, as I said, it's streaming, and it's always the topics are everything regarding LGBT plus. I've had wonderful guests like Conspiracy Cats. I've had Bob the Science Guy, and I've had Vishanti, for example.
Awesome.
Nice guests. However, my viewer counts are going down anyway. So
Well,
I have
let's try to
2 shows a
fix
week.
that.
Yeah, let's
I
try to
have
fix that.
two shows a week: Monday, Friday, Monday news and Friday facts. However, a little sneak peek: the Friday facts will be replaced by another show in the future. Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
it.
kind of
Thank you very
interesting.
much for everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming.
So there was
And
a
Anytime.
financial
finally,
aid for everybody who wasn't paying attention.
finally, we have Microraptor. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm real chilling. I'm gonna be on ett little wage stream in 13 hours, I think it is. And we're gonna talk about history because that's not a subject I talk about that much in this community because it rarely comes up. And I thought I could talk a little about that. Yeah, it was awesome to be here. I of course, been on the other stream with Boomer and other one, and I like those guys, and I like you guys, and all the other hosts that are usually here. And yeah, it was fun to finally be here. I'm a bit tired, but yeah, it's been fun.
Wonderful. And I don't think you have a channel, do you?
Yeah, I do, but I
Oh,
don't
you do. Chill.
post stuff that often. I don't post that often. It's just random stuff. So yeah, I
Okay.
have stuff there, but yeah.
Still, everyone go subscribe. Subscribe to all three of our guests. They've all been amazing tonight.
They absolutely have been, and they're
Uh,
wonderful guests and definitely worth subscribing to.
Actually, in just this past three or so minutes, I've had 3 subscribers. So
Aw.
thank you very much for that.
Sweet.
Nice.
Well, as soon as I get over to your channel, you'll have a 4th because I had
Okay.
no idea that you were making videos.
You'll have a
Well, now you do.
All right, and of course the gruesome twosome, my amazing co-hosts. For no reason, final thoughts.
Well, I'm always happy to have the guests that we had on and the people that we've had in chat, backstage, and Ju, Mr. Nielsen, everybody, you are all wonderful. We love you to death, and thank you all for coming. To the guests that we have, you guys are fantastic. Thank you for telling us your stories and opening up to us. We adore each and every one of you, and seriously, thank you.
Amen. And finally, the producer that never fucks anything up ever, Chris. Final thoughts.
Yeah, right. I never fuck anything up. Yeah, my thoughts. Trans rights are human rights. No, I'm not gonna let you inspect my kid's genitalia. What else? Yeah, and it's not a fad. It's not, something that's gonna go away. It's not a trend. It's not any of those things. It's a real problem.
Well, I wouldn't call it a problem
Well, not a
as much
problem.
as yeah,
There's a
it's a
bad term for that.
problem that people refuse to understand it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
refuse to treat trans people as humans.
That's exactly what I meant. I'm sorry, I'm kind of halfway asleep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's late.
It's getting late.
And it's early for me. It's 5 to 7 a.m. for me on
I
a Sunday
seriously don't
morning,
know how
and I've
you're still
been
awake.
here for
Thank
two
you
and a
for
half
being
hours.
here, sweetie.
Yeah,
That's all right.
definitely.
That's all right. It was all good fun.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things that we can do to try to combat things like these bathroom bills and the genital inspection bill and things like that is just education. Is just helping people understand trans issues, helping people understand what transsexuals are, how things work with gender fluidity and transitioning and things like that. Because the more you understand it, the less likely you are to be against it.
Yeah.
A great example is I honestly don't think that a lot of individuals even knew that when transitioning is transitioning for the mechanical side, not necessarily a gender.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and
wouldn't you be a non-binary then?
no,
Slim was talking
that would be binary because cyborgs have binary programming.
Oh my god, did you really
Yeah.
just go there? That was.
I've been trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
bring
that was
that
good.
joke in for a while. Come
That
on.
was good. That was
Thank you, please. Thank
It's
you.
also
That was beautiful.
Did we get a Slim's
it's also
final words on
hexadecimal.
it?
No, we did not.
It's also hexadecimal.
Wait, who did I miss?
Slim.
No, we talked to Slim.
Yeah, no, we
he was
definitely
first.
talked to me.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I said that way too.
I will give you this closing story. I had never actually met a
yeah,
trans person until 2006, and like I said, I was a homophobe for a long time when I was growing up. I went to college in 2000 and met a lot of gay and lesbian people, and became an ally. I helped fight to start a gay club at my college, and still I had never met a trans person. And then in 2006, I met the most wonderful trans woman I've ever met in my life. Her name was Carla, and she was awesome.
And then you
she
met us,
didn't
and
take
we allowed you
shit.
to be even awesomer.
She didn't take shit from anyone. One night, we had a little bit of a party after a show that we were doing, and she was there, and my buddy James was playing around and threw something over towards her table, and it hit her plate. And she stood up and turned to him and said, "I will whoop your ass. I used to be Carl, and I can still fight like him."
Oh my god.
And from that moment on, I was in love with this woman. I thought she was the greatest woman in the world.
What a
Carla
wonderful.
is my hero, and I love her.
Yeah. Carla's awesome.
What a wonderful woman, charming lady.
Yeah, she's amazing. I haven't talked to her in 10 years probably, but yeah, she's absolutely amazing. And
talk to her, please tell her that I adore her.
Yeah.
if I do talk to her, I will try to get her to come to our next show
that would be
about
awesome.
trans issues, because I'm sure she would love to talk about it. She transitioned kind of like if you guys know Jenny Morgan in the community.
Yeah.
Yes,
awesome.
Both of them transitioned around the same time.
Actually, I've had Jenny Morgan on my channel, I think at least twice. She's what a wonderful woman.
She really is.
Such a
And she
darling.
transitioned back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes,
I believe
we talked
it was.
about that.
And
There's a
that
video.
that was when there was even more of a stigma surrounding
I talked about it.
It was actual life or death. Depending on what city you went to, you could have been killed.
Yeah, I actually talked about all that. I talked about all that with Jenny, in my first live stream with her. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But she's awesome. If you guys don't know her, you really should.
You should know her.
Yeah, Jenny's awesome.
And if anyone is struggling with anything, if anyone has any questions about anything we talked about tonight, you can contact me, you can contact Trismer for no reason, you can contact our guests. You know, I probably can't answer them personally, but I can direct you to someone who can. But I'm sure
Absolutely, would do
all
my
three of our
best to answer
guests
you.
would be more than happy to talk about things
Yeah, I am.
to
So if you
help
can,
anyone.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
absolutely.
can just send me an email
Yeah.
or approach me on Discord.
Yeah,
Everybody
definitely.
knows me on Discord, so please
Yep.
go ahead and message me if you need anything like that whatsoever.
Same here. You live in Discord, so
Yeah. This is a pretty amazing community, and there are people that are willing to help you, even if it's a question that you may think is stupid, you know, just basic questions about transitioning or anything like that. You may feel weird asking them, but it's not weird. You know, it's better to ask those questions than to wonder.
yep.
Exactly.
There
I
is no
would
weird
say the
questions,
exact same
Hunter.
thing.
Yeah. Don't feel uncomfortable about it. You know, this is something that people are there to help you. People are there to talk about it, and you know, I I think that is something that's totally awesome about our community that other communities on YouTube do not have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our community
Uh,
doesn't matter what you are, what you identify as, we will always just accept you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can identify as an attack helicopter, and you'll still be accepted here.
Legitimately.
Goddamn attack
Yeah.
telehovers. They all
That
disguise
would sound.
bullshit.
That would sound
Well, they kind of do with their.
interesting.
Have you seen their missiles?
Yeah.
True.
All right. Well, we have been going for like 2.5 hours at this point, so
Yeah.
let's call it a night. Go to bed.
Bye-bye.
If you're in the U.S., or get up and have breakfast if you're in Europe, or you know, go fight a kangaroo if you're in Australia.
Yeah, I actually feel bad for Heidi. You're probably about to have a piece of toast and go off to work or something.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to go for today.
Exactly.
Remember,
Low
Getting pumped
Rapunzel
up.
said that I identify as a sprinkler, and that is correct.
Yeah, it's because
And
you're
thumbs
always
up,
sprinkling the
everyone.
titties. Speaking of which, you're
All
going
right.
to the
Well,
game on Monday, right?
do what?
Well, you're going to sprinkle titties on Monday, right?
I do it every day.
Awesome.
Thank you guys
The
again
question
for
is
coming
who's
tonight. Thanks to the people in chat. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you later. Good night, everyone.
All right,
Good
bye bye.
night.
Everybody has a
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.